The afternoon sun hung oppressively over the small town of Eastfield, the air so dry it seemed to crackle. On this quiet Saturday morning, Alex Thompson was behind the wheel of a rental sedan, cruising down Maple Avenue, just a few streets away from his mother's house. In the passenger seat sat a plain brown grocery bag, milk, bread, and her favorite ginger cookies. The mission was simple: drop off some food and visit his mom. He hadn't been back in nearly a year, but as he looked around, everything seemed the same, at least on the surface. As he glanced in the rearview mirror, Alex noticed a patrol car trailing him. It had been following for a while, and when he slowed to make a turn, it did the same. His stomach tightened. He kept driving, hoping it was nothing. Then, the flashing lights and the unmistakable chirp of the siren shattered the stillness. "Great," Alex muttered under his breath as he pulled over. Out of the cruiser stepped Officer Riley Edwards, a woman in her mid-40s with short, platinum blonde hair and sharp, mirrored sunglasses. She moved with purpose, her hand hovering near her sidearm as she approached. "License and registration," she demanded, her voice clipped. Alex didn't flinch, keeping both hands on the steering wheel. "Sure, I'm just reaching into the glove box," he said slowly. "Do it slowly," she barked. He complied, grabbing the documents and passing them over. "I'm here to visit my mother. She lives a couple blocks away." Riley glanced at him for a moment, then at the car. "This car is rented?" Alex nodded. "Yes, I flew in from Denver yesterday." The officer studied him for a moment longer than necessary. "Step out of the car." "Excuse me." Alex blinked in disbelief. "I said, step out of the car." Alex's confusion grew, but he obeyed. He stepped out of the vehicle, hands raised in plain sight. Riley circled him, her eyes scanning every inch of his body as though looking for something. Alex felt like he was being measured for a crime he hadn't committed. "You matched the description of a suspect in a robbery earlier today." Alex felt the blood drain from his face. "I've been at my mom's all morning. You can ask her if you want." Ignoring his words, she radioed for backup. "Officer, I know my rights," Alex said, keeping his voice steady. "I haven't done anything wrong. I'd like to know why I'm being detained." "Hands on the hood," Riley ordered, her voice sharp. "Are you serious?" "Am I being detained?" he asked, a trace of frustration creeping in. She moved toward him, forcefully pushing him into the side of the car. In that instant, something inside Alex shifted, not fear, not anger, but a quiet resignation. He knew the script all too well. He leaned against the hot metal of the car and sighed. "I'm a business consultant," he said, his voice calm but firm. "I work with top-tier companies. I don't carry weapons, drugs, or anything else you might be looking for." "Stop talking," Riley snapped. "You're making this worse." Moments later, backup arrived in the form of Officer Daniel Fisher, younger and less certain. He seemed hesitant, but he followed Riley's lead, standing silently as she handcuffed Alex. "On what charge?" Alex asked, disbelief still in his voice. "Resisting arrest." "I didn't resist," Alex countered. "I asked you a question." "You raised your voice," Riley said, shoving him toward the cruiser. "That's enough." Alex didn't argue. He let them push him into the back of the car. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Probably his mom, wondering where he was. He thought about the melting groceries and the quiet weekend that never would be. He wasn't scared. He was just tired. Tired of the routine. Tired of always justifying himself. Tired of people like Riley rewriting the script. At the station, they processed him quickly, shoving a clipboard into his hands without so much as a word. Riley filled out her report with mechanical precision, using words that were all too familiar: non-compliant, aggressive, threatening. He'd seen this language before. It was a reflex. But this time, he didn't fight. He didn't panic. He just looked her in the eye with quiet defiance. They kept him in the holding cell overnight. No explanation. No phone call. Just a bench and the flickering overhead light. Alex didn't pace. He didn't fidget. Instead, he thought, strategized, like he would for a business deal. But this wasn't business. This was personal. The next morning, Officer Linda Hayes arrived at dawn, her graying hair pulled back into a tight bun. She handed him a clipboard. "You're being charged with obstruction and resisting arrest. Bail hearing this afternoon." Alex met her gaze. "I'd like to see the report." "You'll need a lawyer," she said, not offering any sympathy. "Then I'll call one," Alex replied. Using his one phone call, Alex reached out to his old friend, Evan Brooks, a defense attorney in a nearby city. They hadn't spoken in years, but Evan picked up on the second ring. "Sit tight," he said. "I'm on my way." By the afternoon, Evan had arrived, dressed sharply in a dark suit. He didn't waste any time. He knew exactly what to do. Riley's cold attitude softened only briefly as Evan calmly requested to review the footage and reports. "If your account is accurate, I'm sure you won't mind showing the evidence," he said. Riley remained silent. Alex made bail 2 hours later. As he walked out of the station, he didn't glare at the officers or raise his voice. He simply walked with purpose, leaving something unsettled in Riley's stomach. That night, Riley reviewed the body cam footage. She paused when she saw herself shove Alex, her finger hovering over the keyboard, but she didn't type anything. Elsewhere, Alex and Evan sat in a small rented apartment, reviewing documents. "It's the same report every time," Evan said, flipping through pages. 2 prior complaints. Both dismissed. Both from black men. One sealed. Alex leaned forward, his eyes hard. "We're not letting this slide." They moved quickly, subpoenaing the dash cam footage first thing Monday morning. But Riley's doubt began to grow. She told herself she hadn't done anything wrong, but the feeling wouldn't go away. Something wasn't right. 2 weeks later, the courthouse in Southfield was filled with anticipation. Evan filed a motion to suppress Riley's report and to open an inquiry into her conduct. Riley sat in her car outside, the court papers in her lap, her throat tight. Back in the city, Alex and Evan were diving deep into old cases. One in particular stood out, a 2019 case involving a young black teenager with a broken wrist from a sidewalk stop. No charges, no lawyer, just silence. But someone had been watching. Sasha Price, a courthouse clerk who had grown up in the very district Riley patrolled. Her brother had been arrested at 17 for obstructing an officer. Same badge, same script. Sasha reached out to Evan. "I kept the files," she said. "Names, dates. I'll testify." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Why now?" "Because I should have 5 years ago." "I'm tired of pretending I didn't see it," Sasha replied. They added her affidavit to their growing file. Riley tried to block it out, but every interaction at work felt different. Her colleagues avoided her gaze, her locker was moved, and whispers followed her around. The footage was released in court a week later. The room watched as Riley shoved Alex without provocation. No raised voice, no resistance, just calm questions followed by handcuffs. When asked if this was how it happened, Riley hesitated. "Not exactly," she said. The testimony came from others, retired men, teachers, warehouse workers, each of them telling similar stories. Finally, Riley took the stand, her face hard. She spoke of her 12 years in law enforcement. When asked if she believed Alex's complaint was valid, she looked at him and then down at the floor. "Yes," she admitted. The judge ordered a full trial for misconduct and falsifying a report. The trial was swift, especially once the footage was made public. Public opinion turned, and Riley was suspended without pay. 3 weeks later, she stood in the courtroom again, this time stripped of her badge and barred from policing. Reporters shouted questions, but she didn't respond. Alex didn't gloat either. He stood quietly outside the courthouse and said, "I didn't do anything special. I just didn't back down." Alex later spoke at town hall. "We can't undo the past, but we can stop repeating it." He stayed in town, hosting workshops on civil rights. Teenagers came. One 17-year-old, a former student, asked, "Did you ever want to give up?" "Yeah," Alex replied. "But if I had, she'd still have her badge." Meanwhile, Riley applied for private security jobs. No one called back. She watched one of Alex's workshops online, silently. When he spoke, "Your silence is someone else's permission." She turned off the screen and sat still. Not everyone gets redemption, but the truth doesn't need permission. It just needs to be told.